What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Trolling with Boyz4Life. Today, I got a special guest. I got my boy Joey Shakes. Yes, he's an Eagle fan, but this is my dude right here. How are you doing tonight? I know you did a couple live streams today or a live stream today, but how are you doing tonight, my guy?
I'm doing good, man. It's 5 more days to the draft. I'm ready. I'm seeing what the hell is going to be going on because it's total mystery to me. But I think we both have some really important drafts coming up. This coming Thursday. So.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be very important for us. I mean, especially and it's funny because y'all just like us didn't really do much in free agency. So this and what's different is y'all had money, we didn't. So this draft for both of us is going to be very crucial to what's going to happen this upcoming season if one of us want to be in contention for that division title, because I think it's going to be between us. I mean, I know the Commanders got Wentz. They got Wentz, but still that defense kind of fell off last year. So, and then the Giants are always the Giants. So I think it's still going to be between us, but this draft is going to be very important for both of us, especially with y'all when y'all having pick 15 and pick 18?
Yeah, pick 15 and 18. Eagles make the trade with the Saints, and they had the 3 first-round picks, obviously the one for the Carson Wentz trade and the trade back from Miami. So as of right now, they ended up getting 18. And they ended up getting an extra third, an extra seventh for this year, a first-round pick for 23, and a second-round pick for 24. So making some moves now to see what the Eagles are doing. And obviously this free agency, this offseason so far has been very underwhelming from some of the moves that they did. Hassan Reddick was probably the highlight move that they did make. And I think they got lucky with him just because he could have got paid a lot more money elsewhere. I think he always wanted to play for the Eagles because in the 2017 draft, he was the pick right before Derek Barnett in that draft. So,
okay.
It was kind of crazy.
Yeah. So the highlight of all this, it wasn't the Howie signing. It was probably the trade. the trade that y'all had. When that came about, where y'all traded back, right? A spot, and then y'all gave 18 or whatever, or 19. They traded up, y'all got 19, right? What was your thought process when you saw that coming and then you saw that extra first round pick for next year?
Yeah, I was streaming when it happened, and I thought it was a really good trade. I thought it was good because I knew the Eagles weren't picking 3 players in the first round. You're not paying 3 first round picks. So At this point, I said to myself, this is for assurance for next year in 23 that if Jalen Hurts does not work out, then they will draft a quarterback next year. But not sure that's going to happen either. So I'm not. I love the trade because I think they got it would have been it's an A- trade for me because if they got an extra second round pick this year, it would have been great to have 2 second rounders because the second round is going to be nuts in this draft. But they got an extra third and an extra seventh for this year on top of the first for next year and the second in 24. So I thought it was a really good trade just because we're not picking 3 guys in the first round. It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So
now, I mean, with the second round, because I mean, to me, this is maybe my 3rd or 4th year actually diving in to the draft for the Cowboys. I've been kind of started doing it around 2019, but this is the first year where I feel like these second round picks are going to be very important, more so than the first round, just because of the talent that's going to be sitting there in the second round. I mean, I feel like normally when you get into the later picks, it kind of drops off. But when you get into the second round, I feel like the talent is still going to be. I feel like a lot of guys that go in the second round could very well easily go in the first round.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of depth at receivers, a lot of depth at safety. I mean, if there's some good positions out there. That's why I feel like more teams are wanting to trade back than really move up because there's a lot of talent between the first and mid-second rounds, depending on what you're getting. So it's this year is pretty stacked.
So at 15 and 18, what are your expectations of what Howard's going to do, knowing your GM and his mindset, and what are your picks that you would like to see happen?
Yeah, well, my picks are simple. I'm going for defensive line this year just because Javon Hargraves last year is this year on his contract. Fletcher Cox, they end up releasing him, and then they end up redoing his deal to lessen the dead cap hit. So this is probably Fletcher Cox's last year. So I'm pretty much – and originally I wanted a defensive end. I was all in on David Ojabo from Michigan because I thought, he really stood out to me on tape, and I thought after his combine and especially when Trevon Walker had a really good combine and moved up past Ojabo, I thought that, the Eagles could land him. But after him tearing his Achilles, I really want to go for one of those Georgia defensive tackles and, Jordan Davis, that big man from Georgia, and getting Devontae Wyatt as well. One of those two players, defensive line, I would pick at 15 if they're there, or they get him at 18. I would say Jordan Davis with 18 most likely. That's who I want because he can clog up the hole. He could play a 4-3, 3-4, great as a nose tackle, very fast, and will free up the defensive ends, and will free up depending on where they put him. If they put him next to Hargrave, or I would say move Fletcher Cox back into the second rotation. That's what I would do to kind of balance both your lines out. And I'm really looking for a cornerback this year. I really want to trade up for Sauce, like so bad. I'm looking at Sauce. I'm looking at Stingley, which I don't know where he's going to be. I really don't. I mean, there's just a medical history with him, and I don't know if teams are really going to take that chance. So I don't know if he's going to go top 10. But if it was me, I'd try to trade up for Sauce. It's going to be probably hard because I feel like he's going to go. I feel like he's going to be a top 5 pick. I worry about the Giants picking at 5 because they need defensive end, they need cornerback. If not them two, Andrew Booth is definitely on my list. Kyer Alam is on my list in the first round. I think they would trade back for Kyer Alam. He should be like a late first rounder. So if there's a team that wants to move up, so the only one I'm not really getting in that first round is at cornerback is probably McDuffie is probably the one I probably would stay away from because he's more of an inside corner. So defensive line and cornerback. Now, Howie Roseman, I don't know, man. I feel there's two things that could happen. One, I think because of the way they haven't did this offseason fair for Jalen Hurts, and it seems like they didn't change the coaching staff. They didn't change the coaching staff. They didn't really do anything to help Jalen Hurts in this offense. I mean, this free agency was just like Hassan Reddick first day, and then it was like the Eagles were close to getting this player and close to getting that player. It was just like they let everything slip through their fingers. But that wide receiver market was so bad after Christian Kirk got that $17 million a year, and we were willing to pay at least 13. We would have had Calvin Ridley as a Philadelphia Eagle. That trade was done because Howie knew how the wide receiver market was going to be. So we had the gambling thing that happened. So he's going to probably be suspended for a year. So we had to back out of that. So as of right now with Howie, I don't know, because one thing I feel like they're looking at quarterbacks. I mean, I don't think they're trading. I don't think they'll reach too far and trade up for one. But it could happen with those 2 first-round picks next year. There is most likely it could happen this year, and then use those 2 first-round picks next year to build around that new quarterback if that's the case. Secondly, I think they're going after. I think they want to get a top-notch wide receiver. I think Howie wants a receiver and a cornerback as of right now. Wide receiver-wise, I think Jameson Williams from Alabama and Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. I think those are going to be top 10 picks this year. I think those are the top 2. Jameson Williams coming off that injury. If he didn't have that injury, he'd be the number 1 receiver in this draft. I think they still need a compliment to Devontae Smith. I don't think Quez Watkins is enough. I think he's good. I just feel like there was a lot of quarterback flaws this past year. So I feel like they can go. I really want them to go get one of these receivers, whether it's Burks or Olave, one of these guys, whoever is up there. So I feel like it's going to be defense for me. It's defensive line, corner, or it's going to be wide receiver and cornerback for Howie Roseman, or quarterback. And I don't want to talk about it. It's going to be embarrassing. I don't even know what's going to happen.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Like I told you earlier, I've done some mock drafts, and I see you. Like the simulator takes wide receiver quite a bit, and it's a kid from Ohio State that it's seen. And I laugh sometimes when I get that second pick, because sometimes the combination is wide receiver quarterback, and I laugh. And I'm over here like, I hope that happens. I would be happy as a Cowboy fan. I'd be, like I told you, I'd be flipping through all of y'all's pages that day, looking at live reactions. But for me and the Cowboys, like I was telling you earlier, we haven't last year our weakest point on the offensive side of the ball, not so much Dak or the running game or the wide receivers. it was that we had a merry-go-round of offensive line. We never had a stable offensive line. Tyron Smith, we already know, misses 5 to 6, 7, 8 games a year. Connor Williams last year was leading I want to say the league, or at least the team.
Yeah.
In penalties last year. We haven't really replaced Travis Frederick when he retired 3 years ago. Zach Martin is Zach Martin, and then Terrence Steele really stepped up for us last year. So for me, it's not a sexy pick, but I'm good with CeeDee Lamb being there. I'm good with Washington being there. I'm good with Gallup when he comes back. I feel like if we want to protect our quarterback and to get anyone the ball or get this offense moving, taking a step in the right direction is protecting my quarterback. So for me, it's one of the guard positions. But like I said, if there is a better player out there, because what I think the Cowboys are going to do is, in the years past, we've gone for position of need, reaching for a guy when we don't need to, because we need that position. He may be the best player at that position, but he may be able to go. We may be able to get him in the second round, but yet we're going to reach for him or trade up for someone when we don't have to. In recent years with Mike McCarthy, we started to go best player available. We did the CeeDee Lamb, and then we did last year we did Micah Parsons. So this year I think it's going to be a combination of position of need at best player available. What I mean by that is you're going to look at your board, you're going to look best player available, look at your position of need, and then rank those guys that, okay, our position of need is we need a guard, we need an interior defensive lineman, we need a linebacker. Now let's rank these guys as far as who's our top guy. So, and even though we addressed the edge rush position by signing Dante Fowler, we still need to fill that hole there, because I don't think he's a complete 100% starter. I think he should be a rotational piece. So if we could get like a Karlaftis if he falls, or Jermaine Johnson if he falls, I wouldn't be opposed to taking a different position other than guard. Just for me, it's just I don't think that in the first round it needs to be a flashy type of player like a wide receiver. I really, as much as I love offensive football and wide receivers, because I was one when I was playing, I just don't feel like that's what we need right now. We need someone who can block and protect our quarterback. So for me, I'm going guard first round, and I feel that's what Jerry's going to do, either go guard or go one of those other positions of need. I really don't think, because this wide receiver class is so deep at wide receiver, right? I don't think that we're going to need that one, even in the second round, because in the second round, I really want to go defensive end. My guy in the second round is DeVarvin Lee. And the year before, I called the Trayvon Diggs. I was like, if Diggs is there in the second round, that's who we're going after next year. And I mean, that route. And I called it. Last year, not so much. But this year, like, I'm hoping and praying, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for either DeMarvin Lee or Winfrey from Oklahoma. And I know Winfrey is one of those guys that is a sleeper pick, and he has a possibility of not being there even in the second round.
Yeah. I want to ask you, because, like, obviously, like, with the Cowboys offense now, like, with Cedric Wilson gone, you have Amari Cooper gone now, CeeDee Lamb becomes that number one guy. And I felt like, I felt like you guys just need another piece at wide receiver. But, like, what do you sum up Dak Prescott last year, okay? And now with CeeDee Lamb becoming that number one receiver, do you think Zeke needs to do more than what he's getting paid for? Obviously with Tony Pollard back there now, and be more of that, that all-around back for the Cowboys. What do you think needs to change with this offense to be successful this year?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. For me,
sorry,
because it's a lot. It's a lot. The reason why, and I was having this discussion. Actually, I was listening while one of my other guys on one of my other shows was talking about it. The reason why Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott didn't gel well together, and you see when you watch film, I don't know if you ever saw the breakdown of the San Francisco game when the Cowboys played last year, and it was Kurt Warner breaking it down. I think it was a Niners game, or it was one of the games, but anyway. the reason why Amari Cooper and Dak didn't mesh well is when we first had Amari Cooper in here, it was mainly, he's just running routes, go routes, getting deep, getting him the ball. Good, great, he can do that. But once Cooper actually started getting into his routes and doing his routes later on as the years went on, Dak Prescott was having trouble getting him the ball. Amari Cooper is such a great route runner and proficient route runner that he needs the ball at a certain time. And when he's out of his breaks in his routes, that ball isn't there. If you look at Dak Prescott when he's throwing the ball in college, these guys are having 4 to 5 yard separations, and he's able to get them the ball. Dak Prescott is not able to throw wide receivers open. I think he needs that 2 to 3 yard separation to feel comfortable to throw that ball. Because if you look at who he throws the ball to, are his guys over the middle, like his slant guys, his slot guys, his tight ends. Those guys are wide open over the middle all the time, which is why you see him this year and in the past couple of years, his tight ends were his safety blankets. I also think that Kellen Moore is a problem because he doesn't scheme well. When you break it down and you simplify the scheme, look at what happened against the Vikings. You bring in Cooper Rush, you get him the ball because that's all you need to do because he's one of your best wide receiver, or he's your best wide receiver, one of your best offensive players. Look what he does. I think he had like 13 receptions for 100 and something yards, right? With a backup quarterback. And then you bring Dak in and his numbers fall off. Why is that? I don't know if it has. I mean, it probably has to do with scheme and it has to do with Dak not being able to get them the ball. As far as Zeke goes, he already is our all-around back. I mean, when Zeke's in there, you don't know if it's going to be a run play or a passing play because Zeke is that guy that can block for us. That's one of his biggest strengths is that he can block. He's a blocking running back. You put Tony Pollard in there more often, it's probably going to either be it's going to be a run play to him when he's in there because he's not one of those blocking running backs. So for me, a lot of things need to change. Scheming needs to be better. Dak needs to be better. As far as CeeDee Lamb, I think he's more of a yak guy. I think for me, it would be nice for him to stay in the slot and actually get. And this is where it scares me a little bit because their wide receivers are deep in this draft, and it does scare me a bit that we may go wide receiver to get that guy to keep CeeDee Lamb in the slot position so CeeDee can do what he does best because he is best after the catch.
Yeah.
So
no, agreed.
Yeah. So I guess you kind of answered this, but let me ask you again.
By the way, your quarterback can't throw? You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy.
Who, me?
Yeah. Because I'm related to my quarterback right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, he can throw. Don't get me wrong, he can throw. But there are passes where I'm just like, you break down the film, and you're like, bro, this dude's out of his break, wide open. You've already gone through your progressions because he's your first progression, and you're not even looking at him no more. Like I don't understand how you weren't why this ball isn't out yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can throw. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not a bad quarterback, but for me, I just don't think he's the guy. For me, that's me, and I'm starting to see that a lot more as the years go. Because I mean, if he was the guy, I mean, we're already going into our I think his 6th or 7th year. 7th year or 6 years as a quarterback. We've won one playoff game with him. Been to the 3 appearances. So to me, it's just, I mean, I'm over it already.
What did you even with the time management with the playoff game? This past year, like, what did you think of? Is it more on Dak? Was it coaching throughout that game? Was it like what was it that? Was it just a stupid mistake that shouldn't have happened? The wrong play that was called for that.
You're talking about the quarterback sneak up the middle.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, bro, I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, I was like, are you shitting me? It's like, first of all, why are we even in this position? Second of all, I was just like, bro, turn around, hand the ref the ball and put it down. I was looking at Twitter that the next day, and everyone was blaming the ref for running in and all this other shit. And I'm like, dude, no matter what, a ref needs to touch the ball. You cannot put the ball down yourself and try to hike it, because it's not going to happen. That wide receiver, that quarterback sneak that happened, I don't even know why that was called. To be honest with you, I don't know why it was called. It was 14 seconds left, no timeouts, nothing, and you do a quarterback sneak. I mean, all you really had to do was get the first down and then maybe a couple yards and slide and get set. But this dude ran damn near to the 25 yard line and then slid with like 2 seconds left. Like, what do you expect?
Then that ref has to run all the way over there, get the ball, place the ball, and then get your guy. Then he has to back out. Then you have to get your guys set. It's too much time.
Yeah,
way too much time.
I watched that your playoff game.
Oh, it was over in 10 minutes.
No, I know.
It was over 10 minutes. I thought we would have played a lot better. It was pretty bad. I mean, Jalen Hurts missed Quez Watkins on 3 potential touchdowns. The distribution between Hurts to Miles Sanders was almost out for 3 weeks, and he got all the snaps. And Boston Scott didn't get the ball. Jordan Howard didn't get the ball until the third quarter. Devontae Smith didn't get the ball until the third quarter. I mean, that's what really pissed me off. And Rager's been like a total piece of garbage all year. So with these muff punts, and he can't even be a receiver, period. So it was Levante David and literally Devin White just waiting for like the read option. Like, they were sitting there like the whole time. And I saw the mic'd up moment where that defense, I think the defense was saying, oh, he can't read defenses. It's not good. It just wasn't. Yeah, this team, a lot of people hate it when I say this. Like, Eagles fans hate when I'm like, did they get lucky getting to the playoffs? A little bit, they added another seed. They should have won a lot earlier. I mean, there was a lot of games that could have won. That I think the first Giants game was probably one of the worst. And look, there's been a lot of issues, and it's not just with Jalen Hurts. I think our offensive coordinator as well, because his play design is garbage. He's treating Devontae Smith like a number 3 receiver. The Cowboys game, the last one of the year, okay, they literally threw Devontae Smith so much they were trying to break Deshaun Jackson's rookie record. That's the only reason why they did that. And like, look what he could do. Like, just under 1,000 yards. It's like Devontae Smith can play. It's just they're not treating him like a number 1 receiver. I don't get what they're doing. I will never get what they're doing, and hopefully. Hopefully, they get another weapon in here and help out, because it's just there's way too many missed targets. I mean, I've watched Jalen Hurts throw. He can't even throw a slant pass. I mean, it's bad. I mean, there's good things to take from him, and there's really bad things to take from him. Like, he's got a limited skill set. To be the number 1 rushing offense was great. We barely ran beginning of the year, and then like we really started to run really well. And I think Jalen Hurts was a big part of that because of that read option, and you have to respect him for holding on to the football and running with it. So he had 10 touchdowns. He had 10 rushing touchdowns this year. He broke the record for, I think, Michael Vick's record for rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, he did a good job on that aspect, but he's working his tail off this offseason. He's working with Tom House, working with Quincy Avery, and he's throwing with Tom Brady this past offseason as well. So there's some, when it comes to Jalen Hurts and his work ethic, it's off the charts. I wish his work ethic and mindset was in Carson Wentz when he was here. But unfortunately, he was drafted here. He was drafted here as a backup. He wasn't drafted here to be the starting quarterback. That's the whole thing with that pick. But maybe it was a blessing in disguise, because I didn't think Carson was going to leave. I didn't think, but I knew it was going to stir up some issues and some problems. So that Tampa game was, I expected us to lose, but I felt like they could have fought a little bit more. I felt like they could have done a little bit more, and made it because we got the Brady defensively a lot. I mean, we got the Brady, but our offense just couldn't get anything done. So,
yeah. I was going to ask you. So, with what you've seen in the offseason and y'all been focusing? I mean, I know you signed what what's his name, Pascal or whatever his name, the wide receiver. Yeah, Pascal. Aside from him, your signings have what mainly been on the defensive side, right?
Yeah. The total opposite I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to be more offensive because it was a heavy defensive draft. 2019 was a perfect example of that draft because it was a heavy defensive draft that year. The Eagles picked Andre Dillard, which he was supposed. I mean, they didn't bring him on a pre-draft visit at all. They just picked him, and they thought he was the best tackle, in that draft. And I think the Eagles kind of ruined him a little bit because they pretty much redshirted him. A first-round pick being redshirted, which made no sense to me. They drafted Arcega-Whiteside. They drafted Miles Sanders. They drafted one defensive player in the 5 rounds of that draft. That was it. So they went the total opposite in free agency. I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you, a little bit. But Zach Pascal, he was a good addition under Sirianni. I don't think of him more than a number 3 to number 4 as of right now. He'll probably, I don't know what he's going to be here, unless depends who they draft. But as a receiver for the Colts, when Nick was the offensive coordinator for the Colts, he was averaging 600 to 700 yards for 2 seasons when Nick was offensive coordinator. When Nick left, he had 300 yards. He did half of his production when Nick wasn't there. So he's a big body, could play outside, inside, good in the red zone, big hands. So, I mean, a good addition. It just wasn't enough. And Devin Allen hasn't played football. He hasn't played an NFL snap. I think he didn't even get drafted. I think it was just a guy with a lot of speed, 4.3 speed, played for Oregon. They saw him at the pro day last week, and they just signed him pretty much. So, and he's probably going to be hopefully a special teams guy. But that's it. I mean, that's it.
That was a weird. I had to look this dude up. Everyone, I was like, who? I was like, who is this dude? That everyone's like a wide receiver. Like, who did he play for? And I was like,
nobody.
The fudge, man. Like, why is everyone excited about David? I was like, you're telling me you signed a dude basically off the street who hasn't done anything since 16, since Wentz's rookie season, Dak's rookie season 6 years ago, and all of a sudden, just because I've seen pictures of him performing in the Olympics or trying to train for the Olympics. Yeah. I'm over here like, what are you trying to do? Is trying to put this dude at punt returner? I mean, I understand Rager's bad, but shit, like you got to sign a dude 6 years who hasn't touched a football in 6 years or a field in 6 years. That was weird to me.
And it was a 2-3 year deal too. It wasn't just like it wasn't like a 1 year deal. This was like 2-3 years. But all I'm thinking about that is pretty much I just want Rager gone, or just I want someone to just outplay him and Howie not to justify these picks. Just like yesterday, he moved J.J. Arcega-Whiteside from wide receiver to tight end. Just to keep him safe on the roster. Like I don't even think he could play. Can he even play tight end? If you were going to have him block the whole entire season, then you might as well just put him to tight end last year, because you just wasted all this time. Putting him on the field is just a wasted body. Like, why is he playing? He had 3 receptions, I think, for the whole year, but it was just Howie trying to justify this pick. It's his last year of his contract this year, and it's just one of the worst draft picks I've ever seen. Worst.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. If he's moving around a pick as bad as – I feel like Howie's trying to justify that pick or something because he missed on DK. I mean, and then I think he's going to try to justify the Rager because he had Jefferson sitting there. So
they re-signed Derek Barnett. They re-signed Derek Barnett. And that guy – how many penalties did Tyron Smith have last year?
7.
Okay, all right. So Derek Barnett beat him by 1 penalty. So he had 2 sacks and 8 penalties. The highest defensive end, highest in penalties was Derek Barnett with 8 penalties last year, and not just screw up penalties. He literally got these penalties out of just being a knucklehead, pretty much. Pushing Tom Brady 6 times when he's 15 yards away from the play. When a running back gets tackled and he tackles him, he's still trying to punch the ball out when he's on the ground. Stupid crap like that. He's costed us drives. And it's pretty much like, well, Howie Roseman re-signed a guy after his rookie contract, so it puts another feather in this cap. Like, look what I got. I got this guy to a second contract, and it makes him look good. You know what I mean? It's all about, like, you know what I mean? So I understand. I think what happened was when Ojabo went down, I feel like Ojabo was the pick this year, because when Ojabo went down, they made this move. Like, Ojabo towards Achilles, they signed Derek Barnett back. And I was on stream when it happened, because Philly the exact time me and Philly were on stream, and he was like, oh, he's like, oh, I don't want, thank God, like, they even signed Derek Barnett. And I was on Twitter, and I was like, I saw it pop up, so then I had to, like, talk about it, and it was horrible. I mean, Derek Barnett's a complete bust. I mean, a 1-year wonder, and, you know, broke Reggie White's sack record in Tennessee, and just all for nothing. Just,
I mean, was he a 1-year wonder, or was he a right moment at the right time guy? Because, I mean, his strip sack on Brady in that Super Bowl was huge for y'all.
Oh yeah, that and the NFC Championship game against the Vikings, he had the strip on Case Keenum in that game. So he made some good plays. He got, like, I think he had like 6 sacks, something like that, his rookie year. 18 wasn't horrible, but then he started to get injured, and then he got injured every single year. And then finally, like, he was healthy last year, but he's just not producing enough. I just wasn't producing. And those penalties killed us. They were drive killers for us. So,
yeah. So what I was going to ask you is, with the lack of offensive moves in free agency, and y'all really trying to evaluate Jalen Hurts, do you and I don't want to be that guy, but I gotta ask, do you feel like, since the Eagles aren't setting Jalen Hurts up for success, do you feel like they're just setting him up to fail, so that way they can bring in someone else, either they're Matt Corral drafting him this year, or trying to trade or draft someone next year?
Yeah, I saw a quote from Howie Roseman the other day, and I was like, this really made me think. I think I have it saved on my phone real quick, just from what he said.
I'm going to get a beer. Keep talking. I can hear you.
Yeah. So Howie said, this was uploaded, I think, yesterday. So Howie said, quote unquote, we have had a lot of discussions, a lot of good discussions about the players in this draft, and we just have to make sure we take the best players and not look at the draft as just a short term. Okay, so that makes me think now, because of what they did in this offseason, not building around Jalen Hurts. Well, think about it. Chip Kelly got fired, right, back in 2015. Then Howie Roseman came out of the boiler room, and then he started making moves. They drafted a quarterback in 2016. Then they started building around Wentz in 2017. They put Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, LeGarrette Blount. They built a really good offense. The offensive line was great. Technically, this is Jalen Hurts' third year. He's only played a year and a half of football. Theoretically, he's only played a year and a half. That's it. Not much time. And then I start to think, since they didn't change the coaching staff, they didn't make any moves around Jalen Hurts, I'm starting to see that those 2 first-round picks next year might not be for a quarterback next year. I think they're weighing out their options. I've heard a lot of news about the Eagles having – and look, I like Matt Corral's – I don't mind Matt Corral. I'm just saying I like him, but I wouldn't draft him. Like, I don't hate the guy. I feel like Matt Corral is, he evades the pocket well. He has a really good arm. He just needs more, his deep ball. I think his deep ball looks great. Just to be more consistent on his deep ball accuracy. But I think he's an RPO quarterback that needs to I think if he, kind of goes away from that and be more of a, more than a one-read type quarterback, I think he could be successful. But, it's just not the pick I want this year. My whole thing this year was go into the free agency, go get your, with the money you have, at least get like 1 or 2 players offensively, go into the draft and go defense heavy. With that Eagles-Saints trade now, it's either way. It can go either or. They could go after a quarterback and sit them behind and sit. Think about it. They could sit a quarterback behind Jalen Hurts this year. Jalen Hurts is up for an extension at the end of this year, and they could trade. If they draft a quarterback, they're going to trade Minshew. Minshew's going to have a lot of trade buzz after this draft. I think they're going to end up trading him if that's the case. And then that's really it. I think it could go either way. But from what the Eagles have done, and since they're looking at long term, I feel like it's going to be a tank season next year. It feels like they're just not doing anything around Hurts and not changing anything because they're letting it take its course. So I won't be surprised. Will I be pissed off? Yes, but I'll be pissed off. Yeah, I mean, I will be really mad if they sign a quarterback with the first 2 rounds. It is what it is. It's the stupidity of this GM. And if they don't think Hurts is the guy, then get rid of him. Like why even waste a year? I mean, trade him if you have to. I mean, just stop wasting everybody's time. Like if you don't think he's the guy, like at the end of last year. At the end of the year press conference, he said, "Oh, Jalen Hurts is our quarterback going into 2022." Like I felt like he had to say that. It wasn't. And usually Howie doesn't give straight answers. But that one was straight. And I was like, yeah, we're going to find out if this is even the case. I didn't want to trade for Russell Wilson. I didn't want to trade for Deshaun Watson. I wanted to build this roster this year with Jalen Hurts still the starting quarterback. And then if he, this is a prove it thing for him. Because at the end of the day, like, I understand, like, Hurts played a few games in 2020, became a full starter in 21. Didn't have an offseason program in last year, really, that much. So really came, so there's a lot of things going around, but it wouldn't shock me because I don't believe those picks next year will be for a quarterback. I feel like they're weighing in their options. I think there could be a chance they could draft a quarterback this year. I think it could happen.
Yeah, no, that would be something because, I mean, you're right. When you go back and you look at the Carson Wentz stuff, they started to build around him sooner than later. You put in Jalen, and here's the thing for me. And this is just maybe me reading into this stuff, or it just could be what it is. But the fact that it took y'all almost up until like not game time, but like a month or so before the season to name Jalen Hurts your actual starter, like you kind of got to read into it. And then this year, Howie doing what he does. Oh no. Making sure everyone knows that Jalen's our guy, but then at the same time, he's not putting the pieces around him to make him successful or help him be successful. And then you see all this stuff coming about Matt Corral or just a quarterback. We like this quarterback, whatever. It's weird. It's weird. I mean, you kind of got to read into it and kind of put your mind at where you think it's going to be. But for me, like if that was going on with the Cowboys, I'd be in your boat and be in your shoes. Be like, dude, y'all aren't gonna make this. This guy isn't our guy. Get rid of him. Stop wasting my time. Yeah. Either trade your picks up in the first round this year or next year, because this guy isn't gonna be our guy. Yeah. And so you actually think that it's this year, right? That is gonna be a tank season for y'all, pretty much.
From what they're showing me, I mean, I feel like they're building up the defense. I feel like they're getting their defense ready for the future, and I feel like offensively they have it on pause for this year. But even when you talked about last year when they didn't name a starting quarterback, I think part of it was they took advantage of the situation and for when we faced Atlanta week 1, and just so they kept them on their heels of who they had to prepare for. I think that was part of it. I feel like he was the starter, and Minshew came into for the Jets game, played really great, and the whole offense changed. But I feel like it's all on hold right now. They're not proving to me that they're ready to compete this year. I just don't see it. I mean, even though like this division is it's. I thought it would be a lot. I thought a lot of, especially in the division, I thought we would be making a lot more moves. I mean, between every team, really, the Cowboys are trying to keep more players and sign more players at this point. The Commanders. Carson Wentz is definitely an upgrade. I mean, I'll give him that. Yeah. I mean, I think he'll play good. I mean, as much as the Eagles fans hate Carson Wentz, I don't like Carson Wentz at all. Like the way he left Philly, I completely just despise him. I can't. It really left a bad taste in my mouth when he left, especially to the fans that wear his jerseys. I thought it was total disrespect, but I feel like he is a definite upgrade with Curtis, with Samuel there and McLaurin, and they have the offensive line's great running backs. I don't think it gets them over the hump to a championship. And usually when Washington wins the division, usually everyone else has to suck. Because if you remember Washington only wins the division when we play horrible. The rest of the teams in the division play horrible. And the Giants, how are they picking 5 and 7 in this draft? They got to trade back, bro. It makes no sense. They don't have another first round pick for next year. You're telling me they're going to pick 5 and 7, get 2 really good players, and still have Daniel Jones as their quarterback with actually really good. They got a really good coaching staff right now. It's a really top notch. They got Martindale's defensive coordinator. He was DC for the Ravens for years. You got Brian DeBall, new GM and Brian DeBall worked out really well. I mean, they have the quarterback coach from KC there. I mean, it's a quarterback friendly coaching staff. So I don't know if they believe that, that they have any faith in Daniel Jones, but I mean, I'd be trading back. I feel like they're going to trade back one of their first round picks, but I feel like they have to. I mean, they can't just pick 2 guys in the first round with Daniel Jones still on the last year of his contract with no picks for next year. So it's a very wide open. I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's a very wide open NFC East this year. It's just going to be who's more prepared, and it's going to be on the coaching, I think, and that's where it's going to go. So,
yeah, I didn't know that the Giants didn't have they didn't have a first round pick next year.
No,
I had no idea because of watching these Giant fans talking about the draft this year. Just by listening to them, they're all for these 2 picks. They're not thinking, "Oh shit, we don't have nothing next year." And I'm not one to look at what other people have and what they don't have for the years upcoming for the next year. So I'm going based off of what people are saying, and the way they're speaking is we're taking 5 and 7 and we're drafting. These are the 2 guys I want. Not Daniel Jones. He is on his last year of his contract. And do you keep this dude for another year because you don't have a draft pick? But then you're right. You draft these 2 top-notch players, or you would think they would draft 2 top-notch players, but it's all going to be for naught because you're not going to put pieces around them to make that team better, especially if you have Daniel Jones as your quarterback, because he's probably 3rd best quarterback in this division. And that team, and then I get it. You have Saquon, but he's always hurt. So, that's crazy. Yeah, if I'm the Giants, I'm trying to trade back to get a first rounder back for next year. But they are also trying to shop Kadarius Toney. That's weird.
Fuck that. Nah.
I don't know what they think they're going to get for this dude. They drafted him last year?
5 days before the draft, they're going to try to figure out who. I mean, Tony is just I thought Tony was drafted way too early. He should have been a 2nd round pick. I didn't think he was a 1st round pick at all. He's been hurt. Apparently, he's had an attitude problem, not showing up to practice. I don't know who's going to want to trade. I mean, why are you giving up on him after a year? After a year, we gave Rager 3 years already. It's just it makes no sense to me. I don't know what they think they're going to get. I think me and you can agree, they had a very overrated free agency last year. They looked good on paper, but we knew they were gonna be horrible. We knew that it wasn't going to work out. That receiver they signed,
Galladay.
Galladay's not a number 1 receiver. I mean, he got paid so much money. I mean, he's not. They had 2 number 2s. They had Shepard and Galladay. I mean, I think the other guy. I thought it plays okay, but. They should look at, instead of drafting 2 guys this year, they have to trade it. You have to give up more draft capital if you need a quarterback next year, unless they're going after if the Kyle Murray's going to be available next year or something, if that's on their plan, or I don't know, but I don't know. I think Giants are definitely bottom of the barrel next year. I mean, that's just me. I mean, that's what I think. There's way too many new pieces, so
I think they're going to be bottom of the barrel too. I mean. I don't know. It's this division. Like you said, it is wide open. But I honestly think it's gonna be between. I mean, we're after this draft. We already know what's gonna happen. Turn on ESPN. The Commanders are gonna have the 11th pick or whatever they have. You're gonna have the Giants at 5 and 7. They're gonna select their guys, and they're gonna be great guys, and they're gonna turn the defense around, and then. If they draft an offensive lineman because they need an offensive lineman, this is the protection they need for Daniel Jones. Now he's gonna get going. oh, they got a weapon for Carson Wentz, whether it's Drake London or Chris Olave or Treylon Burks. Oh, we're gonna see it's gonna be between the Commanders and the Giants, and then the season happens, and the Giants are trash. The Commanders, their defense is overrated, and then it's gonna be between us. And I feel that between whoever has the best draft, because let's face it, our offseason even though free agency isn't over, right?
Right.
It's never really over, especially after the draft happens, because I think that's what the Cowboys are going to do. A lot of their free agent signings is going to be after the draft, positions they didn't get. I think that's why this draft is so important for both of us, because we had a lackadaisical free agency. That when it comes to drafting, we're going to be drafting, these draft picks can't fall to the wayside. And what I feel bad for y'all, just like us, is after certain rounds, these draft picks and what we've seen with Howie can't really draft out of the first round. Just like with in the years past with the Cowboys, we tend to reach for players.
Yeah. So as of right now, there's one move I'm waiting on for the Eagles right now, and that's Tyrann Mathieu. So
I've been waiting for that too.
So the Eagles have been very persistent with that. They brought him on like a virtual visit thing. I don't know. He left the Saints without a contract. It's his hometown, so obviously he might just be going to other teams to drive the price up. I heard the Rams are interested. I know Seattle's definitely out. I mean, Pittsburgh's out because they signed Minkah Fitzpatrick's going to get a big deal probably this year, and they just signed Terrell Edmonds, whatever his name is. So I feel like it's between the Rams and the Eagles right now. So I really want Tyrann Mathieu to solidify that safety spot. Ronnie McLeod is gone. He signed with the Colts. He just was hurt so many times. We picked him up as a free agent in 2016 and was very good paired up with Malcolm Jenkins. I think losing Malcolm Jenkins was huge for our defense. I think it bandaged up our defense. I think when we didn't have great corners, a good pass rush, we could move Malcolm all over the field, and he really bandaged up our secondary. So, I really want to get Tyrann Mathieu. If they get Tyrann Mathieu and I think it's going to happen after the draft. If they don't draft the safety, I feel like Tyrann Mathieu is going to be on his way here. Or they have something cooking with him. And then if they could draft a cornerback this year, defensive line, I'm looking for them to go all defense in the first round. That's what I'm looking for. But I feel like they're definitely want to get that other big weapon for Jalen Hurts to team up with Devontae Smith. So that's what I'm feeling right now.
I'm glad you brought up the Tyrann Mathieu, because for the past 2 weeks we've been talking on this. Well, I've been listening and watching and reading Twitter, YouTube, whatever, that Tyrann Mathieu is going to be an Eagle. What is – I mean, people have put on Twitter that, he's alluding to coming here. So what's the holdup? Or what do you think the holdup is of why he's not here? Why isn't he an Eagle yet?
I think it's money. I think it's length of contract. It could really be anything. It could be maybe he's waiting on. Maybe he really wants to go to the Saints. Maybe he's waiting for them to give him a bigger offer. I don't know. It really could be anything at this point. But I mean, I fell for this before. I mean, who was the defensive end that kept putting Eagle stuff out before he was with the. Oh my God, what was his name?
Not Griffin. Are you talking about Griffin?
Nah, the one before that. That defensive end. What the hell is his name? Oh, I forgot. He put out pictures of Eagles players, all this crap. I think he was before the Vikings. I think he ended up signing with the Vikings, or I forgot where Jacksonville. What the hell? Yeah, Yannick Ngakoue.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My God, that shit was...
Yeah, with the Jags.
Yeah, that shit was bad. That was he was putting up pictures of Trent Cole and all this. Well, where can I get a Philly cheesesteak? Stupid. I think he wanted to come here, but he had just no control of the situation. So
yeah,
but Mathieu has been going crazy with it, but he's answered some Eagles fans. He likes some posts from some of the players and a lot of others. I've been covering every little thing about it. So
yeah, I know. Yeah. I've seen it.
I don't miss out on anything.
It's funny because I'm over here no, it ain't happening. It ain't happening yet. Until I see that breaking news go over my phone, all I'm doing is sitting back and laughing because it ain't happening yet.
Yeah,
But
I feel like they're staying persistent with it. And I think it'd be a nice moving piece because he could play he could play in the box, he could play corner. You can move him all over the place. So I don't know, maybe not. I mean, we'll see. But Eagles are desperate need at. I mean, especially linebacker. Like I feel like they have to add another body. Like Kaiser White, I thought was a pretty good signing. I think one of the most underrated signings this year. Kaiser White could have been with the Chargers. They wanted him back. He didn't want to go there. So it was a 1-year deal, very cheap deal, but good on coverage. I mean, he's added to TJ Edwards, and now Hassan Reddick going to switch from Sam linebacker to edge rusher, which will be good. So I feel like I love the linebackers in this draft. Like I love Devin Lloyd and the Kobe Dean, and even going the second round game. We just brought Christian Harris on a visit from Alabama yesterday, so I was happy about that. So. Not like they're going to go after linebacker. It would be nice. I mean, I'd probably be emotionally shocked because they haven't drafted a linebacker in the first round in 40 years. That's how long it's been. So,
so let me ask you, how much stock do you take into? So, I mean, every team is different. Every GM is different. How much stock do you think, or do you know that Howie takes into those 30 visits? As far as, okay, we got our 30 visits. These are our 30 guys that we want, or we're at least interviewing, looking at, and then we're going to draft them if they're there. How much stock do you think he takes into it?
It just depends on the year, really. Like even last year, like they brought in some people that made no sense, but like this year, I felt like they really brought in some guys that made a lot of sense. You brought in Devontae Wyatt, you brought in Jordan Davis for the first 2 visits, which I was like, holy crap, that's awesome. Because like you get a Georgia player, you got you got someone good on your team. Yeah. They brought in Sauce. They brought in a trade-up candidate in Sauce. They brought in a guy that could be there at 15 in Andrew Booth Jr. Jaquan Brisker from Penn State. I love him. He's in the box safety, could play any position on defense, could move around, could be your moving piece. They've brought in some pieces. They've brought in big need pieces that how much stock I put into it, I don't know. I feel like they could have interest because you have to remember, like, even it doesn't matter what team it is, they could be talking to guys at pro days and then saying, this might be a guy for us, and not put him on a pre-draft visit because they don't want to show too much interest in that.
And they already talked to him at the pro day.
Yes. So they talked to Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and some of these guys. So I feel like I take stock into it to a certain degree.
Because for me, because I'm looking at my 30 visit guys, and we only brought in 3 wide receivers. That's why for me, I don't think we're going to go wide receiver in the first round at 24, even though Jerry was asked, would you trade up in the first round? And he said, if the right guy is there. Because we only brought in Drake London, Chris Olave, and Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks reminds a lot of Cowboy fans of Dez Bryant. That's what he reminds a lot of them of. And then he's from Arkansas. And where did Jerry go to college? Arkansas. He's from there.
Oh, boy.
So, I mean, that's another thing that kind of scares me, but I don't think Treylon Burks is going to be there at 24. And then we addressed that position already somewhat, right? You look at our other visits, the only one that I see aside from the wide receivers, because, I mean, Treylon Burks can go in the top 15. Drake London can go in the top 15. Okay. Chris Olave can go in the top 15. The only one that I see that probably will be off the board before maybe at 10 or at the latest 12 is Jordan Davis. We brought him in for a 30 visit. We don't value a big body interior defensive lineman. We haven't for years because we had Rod Marinelli where he liked the undersized guy for whatever reason. But if you look at our history over the past few years or decade, we get gashed up the middle bad when it comes to running. So to bring in a Jordan Davis is nice. We brought in Winfrey, which is nice. And we brought in a DeMarvin Lee, who that's my guy. So for me, taking stock, it's I know how Jerry operates. I know how this front offense operates. I know how they go for position of need. I know the tendency of this team. That's why I've been able to call the last 4 drafts of either naming a player or a position. Because back in 2019, I was talking about we're going for linebacker. Just don't give me LVE. And they got me a linebacker, and they got me LVE, and I was like, whatever. Then I called the CeeDee Lamb pick. I said, if CeeDee Lamb's on the board, watch the Cowboys to take him because that's the flashy guy that they want, the wide receiver that they're going to need for Dak. Even though we have Cooper, I can see it happening. And then when we were getting our asses beat in 2020 against the Ravens, I did a live stream later that night, and I said, Micah Parsons is the guy we needed to draft. We ended up drafting him. So it's just I'm starting to figure out and learn how we do things here with the Cowboys as far as drafting goes. And that's why when I look at the 30 visit, guys, I didn't take into account what you were talking about earlier where you said they do the draft, the pro days. I didn't take and I try to look that stuff up. I don't have success finding it. But looking at the 30 visits and looking at what we address, I feel like, okay, we only looked at 3 wide receivers. Why is that? I mean, those 3 wide receivers could go to the Giants, could go to the Commanders, could go to the Eagles, right? So like my man, Cowboys Corner, who just showed up here, said earlier and brought this into, put this in my head, we could just be doing this to get a feel for these guys because we could be playing them twice a year. So that's how I view some of those 30 visits. I do take stock into them quite a bit, especially with how we approach the offseason.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, I it goes both ways. I mean, because every team's different, so I totally get it. But when it comes to this team, like sometimes they don't bring anybody. They'll draft guys without not having a pre-draft visit. Like the whole
Andre Dillard thing was weird for me.
Yeah, pre-draft visit, and they thought he was going to go a lot earlier. That just shows, where they think these players are. I mean, it's weird. They'll take a 7th round rugby player and turn him into going to be a Pro Bowl left tackle. I mean, Jordan Mailata is like they turn a guy who never played football in his whole life, 6'8", 360 pounds. I mean, just a monster. Even last year's draft, I thought last year's draft was an A+ draft. I said if Dickerson in the 2nd round, becomes a stud, it's an A+ draft for me, and he did. Dickerson was the center for Alabama and the best center in all of college football, but he came off an ACL injury, he had 2 ankle injuries, 2 knee injuries, and I hated that pick. I didn't really like it. It was a 50-50 with me. We could have drafted JOK to end up getting her. Asante Samuel Jr. was on my board, and he went to the Chargers. So I look at picks 15 and 18 for us. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, can he really screw this up? Other than a quarterback, can he really actually screw this up? Like I think the worst first round for us if they pick Drake London and Trent McDuffie. I think those are like the 2 picks I would hate the most together. Drake London, I don't know what's going on. Like everyone's saying he's Mike Evans 2.0. It's like the guy doesn't get separation. Guy is never separated. Like Mike Evans was in a much harder conference in college. Like, you know what I mean? Like USC receivers, we drafted one before, Nelson Aguilar. So, I don't know. Maybe he'll be a beast. I don't know. I'm not a big Drake London fan. A lot of people think he's gonna go early, so I'm not really into it. Yeah, right.
He said they should be your picks.
Yeah, that's a case. Is that a Cowboy fan?
I don't know, dude. I really don't know. I know he's been on my commented on my Twitter stuff. I honestly don't know. I mean, I really haven't looked at his stuff. So, because I've seen him comment on other things on Twitter, so I honestly couldn't tell you what team he roots for. But yeah, no. I mean, he doesn't get separation. Mike Evans did play in a harder conference. I mean, the numbers he was putting up against Alabama. I mean, with Alabama having the defense that they did back, that they still do. Yeah, no, and then like we said, Treylon Burks is it reminds Cowboy fans of Dez Bryant, and then Chris Olave. I really never paid attention to him or watched because I don't get some of those Ohio State games down here in Texas. So, or not, he's not from Ohio State. Where's he from?
Who?
Olave.
Ohio State.
Yeah. Okay. Ohio State. I was right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't get some. I mean, I'll get them every now and again, but I'm more of the A&M Texas Tech because that's where I'm from. So I get a lot of those.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Like I feel like even with the Eagles, like I want them to get, look, you're gonna rate players that are for need, you're gonna rate players for best player available that's on your board. If you have a player that's best player more than the need for that's what I'm getting confused about. I'm not really confused, but I don't want them to go because I don't want them to draft someone because of how they're gonna fit the scheme. Like if you're drafting a player in the first round, they will change the way they do things. They will be able to play for any team. That's why I don't get why even Trent McDuffie is like he's the best zone coverage cornerback in the draft. But you don't draft a zone coverage guy in the first round. Like you're not drafting a corner in the first round for zone coverage. You're drafting him for man on man. Like I don't get even some of the guys in the NFL on the reporters on TV. I'm watching. I'm like Drake. I'm watching this, and I'm just like, how are they rating this guy so far up when he's just a zone coverage guy, an inside corner that's as small as Avonte Maddox? Like I don't get it.
Yeah, no. In the first round, you're a first round draft prospect because you're coachable and you can change your style of play. That's why you're best player available in the first round. You shouldn't be going in the first round trying to fit your scheme. That should be later round draft picks.
Right. I mean, look, your first and second round picks are starters. Your third to fourth rounders are your role players, and then your 5, 6, 7s are like hit or miss. I mean, that's just the way it goes. That's how the draft goes. So,
yeah. This dude, East Coast, he's on you, man. Trent McDuffie is a great man coverage. That's the biggest thing. People don't watch tape. I want film on him. Ton weekend. Played most outside receivers and was strong as hell.
I wouldn't trust that guy I wouldn't trust him on an island worth anything.
Yeah, I've been hearing that him and maybe it's just him that even though he is one of the better corners, it's just he fits in a certain scheme.
Yeah. That's why I feel like that's an Eagles pick. I feel like it's such an Eagles pick because Jonathan Gannon wants it, which he's going to be definitely on the hot seat this year from what we're going to be giving him in this defense. So we're going to be doing 4-3, 3-4 disguising coverages, which we were supposed to do last year, but the soft zone coverage, putting these corners 10, 15 yards off the line, I just can't stand it anymore. I just can't. You have that's why I want to draft a corner in the first round that's capable to be the next number one because you have big play Slay in the building right now, Darius Slay, that can mentor this kid that comes into the building, which would be the most perfect spot for any quarterback to land here. That's why I would pick Sauce, Stingley, Booth, Kyer Alam. I mean, that's where I'm pretty much and then really I think one of the most underrated corners in the second round is like McCreary. I think is another guy too I've been looking at as well. So I would pick. I mean, look, I'm not saying that Drake London is trash. I'm just saying I think he's got really good hands. He's got strong hands. But I just feel like there's so much more. There's just better. I would rather draft Alec Pierce than Drake London at this point. Like I think Alec Pierce is 6'3", 6'4", 212, runs a 4.33 at a big running back that gets separation and he can test catches. But it's just. I'm not saying Drake might be a good player. Who knows? I could be wrong at the end of the day. But from what's in front of him right now with Jameson Williams and Burks and Olave and all these guys, there's just so much more talent. And you get a contested guy because if you have a contested guy, he can't get separation. That's why he's a contested guy. He can't get separation. So his big trait is using that physical body to use his physical body and get those catches. Where every ball to a possession receiver, any ball thrown that direction is catchable because he used his body to get those catches. So
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
now this is what we were talking about earlier. Big Moves Times asked, are the Giants going to use their pick at quarterback or O-line? And also, how does that disrupt the NFC East? Like what we were saying was, or what you were saying, Joey, is they don't have a pick for next year. And what you would do if you're a Giants GM is try to trade one of those back to get capita for next year, because that's what they need, especially with Jones being on his last year of his contract.
I didn't even give it. Look, if the Eagles even had their quarterback right now, I still would have traded back one of those picks. Like, why even pick 3 guys in the first round?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Like, get more draft picks. It's always nice to get more. When are you ever going to have 3 first-round picks? Never. But with the Giants, like, you got a quarterback right now that, especially the coaching staff is very high on, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's like John Mara like pulling the strings and he's like forcing them to like start him this year or whatever it is, but maybe they do trade back one of those picks. And if they pick somebody at 5, it's got to be like Neal, the right tackle. Like he's the best offensive lineman. It's Neal and Ekawanu, whatever his name is. I think it's one of those 2 guys, or they're going to get Kayvon Thibodeau, or they'll get Sauce if he's still available by 7. I don't know. It could be anywhere.
This question's for you. Will Rager be on the field or special teams?
No, I don't know what they're. I really don't know. I really hope not, dude. Like I'm so after that second Giants game, that's where I got really pissed. Like after those, Jalen Hurts like threw a game-winning touchdown to him. Literally, like right in his hands. I mean, 2 times. I mean, but it's all mental with Jalen Reagor. That's the issue. Like once you can have all the talent in the world in the NFL, but if like you start doubting yourself, or he fights with the fans, you see him this offseason. He was fighting with fans on IG Live, like stupid. Like he gets a lot of hate. He can't handle the city. That's the big problem with him. It's all mental. It doesn't matter what he could do. Special teams. It's weird on punt returns. The less time he has on a punt return, he'll actually run it really well. The more time he has, the more space he has, the worse he does. It's all up here with him. It's all up here.
Yeah. No, it's funny because judging by his Twitter, which I haven't seen anything in a long time, it seems like he's fucking balling out when it comes to his Twitter account. Cracks me up. Half the time I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? You didn't even catch a pass this game, and you're over here talking about how you're shining or
how much did you take last year out of those scrimmage? How much when you did the scrimmages last year in the offseason, right? Yeah. How much did you take out of those scrimmages? Like really, like when you like saw like some of your players making plays at these scrimmages, how much do you take out of scrimmages where the quarterbacks don't get tackled, barely get pressured, they can throw the ball every time? How much do you take out of it?
Okay, so this is what baffles me about Eagle fans so much, because I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, bro, like this is OTAs, bro. This is a scrimmage where the quarterback's not even getting touched or tackled, and dudes are making horrible throws. Wide receivers are making great catches, and you're over here talking about how these dudes look like future Pro Bowlers. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Hold on a second. No. Look, I was like, what happened was, so like Reagor got yelled at practice, like because I always watch with the beat writers because they're at practice all day, so they always they always report what's going on. So he must have got yelled at practice. I think after that day they had these scrimmages, and then our coach is like, we're treating the scrimmages like games. I'm like, okay, and it's like that's BS, but all right. And then it's like Reagor was catching everything. He was beating everybody. It was one hand catching. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna turn around. He's gonna be something special. And then the season came along.
Yeah. No, and I wasn't talking about you. It was just that's what I see. That's what I see. It's like y'all get so hyped over OTAs and drills that are meant to make these wide receivers look good, right? And I'm just over here like, how are y'all putting so much stock into any of this? Like when I see scrimmages, when I see certain things, like I take it at face value of like it's a scrimmage. Like I'm not like, yeah, cool, dude made a badass falling back, toe tapping, one-handed catch behind his back, but like, is that actually going to happen in fucking in a game? Doubt it.
And one drill I like to watch during like training camp and stuff are like the scrimmages is like the one-on-ones between corners and wide receivers where there's no safeties, no linebackers, right? So you love those drills, but realistically it's like the receiver could run anywhere with no safeties, no linebackers, no nothing, and then they beat the guy and you're like, oh shit, he's going to do something well this year. You're like, it's cool to watch, but like theoretically it's like it's not realistic, it's just
I mean it was funny because a couple of years ago a few of your guys, Eagle fans, put out video of that exact same drill, and the wide receiver was just beating the brakes off these corners, the secondary guys that they were matched up with. And they're like, oh, he looks like a future Pro Bowler, and he looks like that. I'm like, bro, these drills are made to make these wide receivers look good. How do you set yourself up and put these high expectations? And then come the season, y'all just
especially since we didn't have good cornerbacks for a long time either. So I mean,
that's another thing.
Yeah, like I took that into account, but it's fun to watch. But I definitely took that. Like having Slay here was good, so I know like he really put these guys to work. So I mean, Slay's the top 5 corner in my opinion, but it's only so much you can watch of it. And then the preseason games come and it's just like. The Eagles like to be cautious. They like to sit so many players out. Like Hurts is coming off ankle surgery on top of this offseason. They got to play Jalen Hurts like they have to play him. They have to play him for a couple series in the first game. They have to play him for at least a half or 3/4 in the second game, and then just sit him the third game. Like they got to give him reps this year. No, like let's be cautious. Like I understand sitting like the older guys. All right, I can understand that, but they got to give Hurts needs reps. Like and hopefully I'm talking about Jalen Hurts by training camp, but you never know what's going to happen by next Thursday. But it is what it is.
And but how much you want to bet it's going to be another Carson Wednesday where he don't see the field at all during preseason, and he comes in day one after. I mean, then that happened right with Wentz where he didn't play a whole offseason because they were cautious. And then he came in week 1 and played off of an injury season, right? That's when that happened. The previous year for Carson, he got hurt.
You mean the 2007? You mean 2017 to 8? You're talking about 2018, like after the Super Bowl year? Or are you talking like 2020, like his last year here?
When was the year that he went into the into the preseason and he didn't even touch the ball once? They sat him.
I'm trying to remember. It might have been 2000. It might have been 2020. I don't.
Yeah, I think it was his one of his last years here. But I feel like that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to be, especially because like we've talked about, you got to read everything around. You got to read the room a little bit, and they're not giving him weapons to help. I mean, we don't know what's going to partake in this draft. We don't know what the Eagles are going to do. But if you don't give him help, like. I mean, I don't foresee
the first step.
Hurts being here much longer,
bro. I'm one of the most realistic Eagles fans. I'm one of the most realistic because I will bash my own players like there's no tomorrow. I don't go by the trend. I don't fucking follow everybody's quote of what's going on because like that's what I'm all about. So, in 2020, when Carson Wentz played bad, his first game when he played against Washington, his first game, I made a whole rant saying something's up. I said something's wrong with him. Like there's something wrong. Something's not clicking. And I think bad things are gonna happen. And Wentz didn't survive. So when it comes to this year, like I am going to critique Jalen Hurts. I didn't critique him bad at the beginning of last year because technically he played a few games in 2020. He was still pretty much a rookie at that point. Like he didn't even play a full season yet. So I backed up a little bit. But I'm gonna be all over him, man. It's gonna be that's the way it's gonna go. I like every game. Like now I'm taking it serious. Now I'm taking it more serious than I ever took now. So
yeah. No, I got you. But man, we're about to hit the hour 15 mark. Okay. We're supposed to be going an hour. I know it's late for you. It's getting late for me. I know. We're good here, but. Bro, I appreciate you having you on here. I appreciate Appreciate you taking the time out of your night to come on here and do the stream with me. Again, I'm pretty sure we're going to get together again and do this again during the season. It's always fun having you in here. Everyone that's in the chat box, Joey Shakes, all his information is in, well, all the information that I have is in the description. But Joey, let them know where they can find you, man, if they don't know already.
Yeah, it's just type in Joey Shake 72 on YouTube. You'll find me pretty easily on there. I do live streams pretty much. I've been doing live streams almost since free agency. I've been doing live streams every day. I have channel memberships up every day for extra content. Do draft highlight reactions and miscellaneous videos. Like I'm doing like setup reviews and other stuff like that. So I have extra content there, and you can follow me on Twitter at Joey Shake 72. You'll find me on there as well. So I'll be streaming. I'll be streaming the draft with Philly 500. If you guys don't know who he is, and if you don't, then you've been living under a rock for a long time. We'll be streaming together for 3 days on both channels, so it's going to be interesting. Either the reactions are going to be good, or they're going to be like really. This chair might be thrown over there. Who knows? You'll probably be looking forward to it. So
no, you're bet your bottom dollar I will be. Are you just gonna be just straight up y'all two, or y'all might have like, might have some guest appearances here?
I think it's just us. It's just us. Yeah, for the 3 days. Yeah, I think that's what's going on.
But everyone in the chat, y'all know where y'all can find me. This is the BGN Sports Media Network channel, along with my channel. All the links are in the description. We had a great show, and we're heading out, guys. Later.